game new. The game changed, I got the same. To me, it's just baseball, and I fake cool. Bad rock from Planet Rock. Trader, commander hip hop. One, run like splash, spit rocks. You can never be the best until you complete the Iconicity test. Rap patterns, parameters, I said.
I think we're feeling rad today, man.
I say you never be the best unless you pass this.
How you doing, David? You feeling rad?
Oh, I'm feeling more than rad, Ryan. I'm feeling groovy. Woo! Come at me, world. Let's go.
All right. Well, hello, all you rad people out there. Whatever rad your place you're watching this from, whatever rad time. Welcome to Ryan and David's Rad Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce you to our guest speakers, our brave number 2 participants from school, Sarah and Salome.
Hello, happy to be here.
Hey guys.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Rad Podcast. How are you today?
We're good. Coping.
Well, we've invited you here to talk a little bit about your senior project, which you are conducting at San Miguel. But it's a senior project that's a little bit different than many that other people have seen before. So maybe we'll just start out by focusing a little bit on what you guys do, because you each have some special talents. So maybe you could just tell us a little bit about that, maybe how long you've been practicing these talents, and then we can get into how that's related to the research project. Salome, what about you?
So I am a dancer, and I've been dancing for 10 years now. I attend for my favorite dance academy. I'm now a teacher there. I have been developing my skills and practicing all my life there.
Excellent. And Sarah, what about you?
I've been singing for 12 years now. I started practicing with a teacher that came to my home and started nurturing me musically talking, and after a while I realized that I wanted to do this forever because I love it, and I got into this, how'd you call it, a technical career that I started pursuing at night, and where I learned a lot of things about theory, technique, and a lot of stuff that just helped me contribute to my project.
One question that I got to pose to you right now is, I'm a big fan of the old classic rock, right? And
yeah.
There's a shirt that exists out there that I absolutely love. And it says, is it the highway to hell or is it the stairway to heaven that you take, And that's something that, I don't know. There's a shirt that exists with, Led Zeppelin and the other guy, Pink Floyd, looking at the two options right here. And I'm just like, oh my goodness, if I had that shirt, oof, I would give that shirt some wear and tear, let me tell you. But, that's, I don't know, for me, rock music, screaming into a microphone, that does it for me right there. I love it.
Yeah, I get it. I also specialize in jazz and modern harmony. So that's kind of my thing.
A little bit of
Very
jazz.
cool.
Ooh, I like that. Very cool.
Maybe David got a little bit ahead of ourselves here with the topic, but we are talking about this dangerous road between heaven and hell today, right? Because well, ladies, maybe I'll leave it to you. Maybe you want to tell us a little bit about the project that you are developing for your senior project, and maybe how you chose this topic.
Honestly, it all started one night. I was just laying around and I thought of, oh my God, the 7 deadly sins is just a perfect theme in order to enumerate this series of video dances. And well, at that point, I didn't think it was going to be a video dance. So I thought, who can I do my senior project with, who is also as passionate as I am? So I recruited Salome, and she loved the idea, right?
So your guys' focus here is on the 7 deadly sins, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
In the dismantling of the 7 deadly sins.
So
And
the principle, like the complete name of the project is Iconicity in Music and Movement, the Seven Deadly Sins. So we're basically joining all of these topics together, our passions, to to create a full audiovisual product where Sarah and I would be creating from scratch, like with drafts and all of that. And yeah, it's going to be seven videos, each for a scene.
Yeah, that's it in a nutshell.
I
okay.
hope you don't mind me playing devil's advocate here, but as far as I know, the 7 deadly sins are something we interact with on a daily, well, I guess it depends on who you are, but for me, maybe on a daily basis. Sorry, Mom. Do you, in your experience, have you ever had interactions with any of the deadly sins?
Of course.
Yes.
So that's actually part of what we're trying to explain. The sins are necessary. They're not like the 7 deadly sins are supposed to be like the head of every other sins, right? Like they're from them everything just roots. And we wanted to for everyone to know that they're practically necessary. For example, the first sin that we turned was gluttony. So we thought gluttony could be the contemporary version of ambition. You need ambition just to keep climbing towards your goals, and that's what we're trying to say in our pieces.
Very cool. Very cool.
Okay.
And in terms of the 7 deadly sins, I want to show a quick article that's I found quite interesting because it's an academic article about how easy it is within your morning to all of a sudden complete all the 7 deadly sins. And let me show you guys, in case for the viewers, if they don't know what the 7 deadly sins are, we'll show you guys an example of what they are and whether or not you have committed a 7 deadly sin in the past few hours. So let me just share an article very quickly with everyone. So this is a small article by Lisa Frank right here. And she says, I can personally attest that the 7 deadly sins are still very much with us. Today, I have committed each of them several more than once before my lunch hour even began. Wow. This is one sinful writer, let me tell you. All right, so she starts off 7 a.m. I press the snooze button 3 times before dragging myself out of bed. Oops, I think I sinned today as well. Ryan, snooze button? Yes, no? Salome?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
every day.
I knew it. You started your day out by sinning. Oof, okay. Continue.
That's one litigation.
Oh, yes, quite so. I took an obscenely long hot shower with no consideration for my sister with whom I live. I don't live with anyone, but I did take quite a long shower that probably took water away from my neighbors. Ryan, you live with, yeah?
Please don't tell any Colombians, but I have not yet showered today.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, Sarah, Salome,
Oh my God.
Good.
yeah?
Yeah, I did shower today, so yeah, I guess.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
All right. We're currently looking at 2 for 2. This is quite the sinful committee we have right here. Third one, greed, right? Third one, I noticed a pool of cat vomit on the floor and chose to ignore it, knowing that my sister would dutifully clean it up. Sloth. Well,
Again.
Again,
Whoa.
I don't have a cat. I can't really say this one happened to me, but in terms of being a sloth, I'm supposed to be grading things right now, so yeah, I may have committed this already. Oh my goodness, I am a sinful human being. I'm 3 for 3 right now. Yourselves? No?
Definitely.
Of course.
So 3 for 3. Sarah, yeah, you've committed many sins today. All right, yeah. Should talk to someone about this later. Salome?
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course.
Okay, 3 for 3. Oh my goodness. I gave someone the finger after they cut me off in traffic. Well, I haven't talked to anyone today, so I haven't. I'm good with that. Ryan?
Well, the other day I had to yell at my neighbor because they were like shaking dust and I don't know, maybe pet dander and things into the public area of the apartment complex. I had to look up and say, hey, stop shaking that stuff. So yeah, I am a sinner there.
Ah, okay, all right. Good on you, Ryan. Let's give it a nice little sinful fist bump right there. All right. Yeah. All right, all right. Ooh, I like this one, gluttony. I helped myself to 2 complimentary pastries at the office meeting. Now, I'm sure you guys are going out shopping for food these days, and let me tell you, one thing I found difficult is bread. Oh my goodness, when I see the bread there is no chance I am letting anyone else have the bread because it's just disappearing so quickly. I mean, I grabbed 4 loaves of bread the other day, 4. I only needed 1, but no. 4 loaves of bread because you're going to take my bread? I think not. I think not. Gluttony? Yeah, you guys experiencing this lately?
Of course.
Yeah.
24/7.
24/7 hunger.
8:42, I flirted with the guy next to me, ignoring the speaker to whom I was supposed to be listening. Well, yeah, to be honest, I don't live with anyone, and I don't think I've followed down this track so far. I've been good, so there's one that I've been good at. Well, as far as I know, I've been good. Yeah, definitely. You guys know? Yes?
We'll call that one good.
Yeah.
All right. I ignored some incessant knocking on the door of the only restroom in the building where I work in order to spend more time putting on makeup in front of the mirror. Pride. Maybe you guys have experienced other forms of pride lately, you know, being at home and having to do your work at home. Have you guys found another, sin of pride?
Maybe, but not that I have noticed. I don't know.
Not that you've noticed. All right. Ryan, maybe you've been prideful of this whole thing that we've been doing on the podcast, maybe?
I'm gonna be honest, even though I haven't showered, I did put on a special shirt and a special hat just for this occasion. So yes,
Actually, on that note, same here. Okay, all right. I lied and told a homeless person that I didn't have any change. Sloth.
Ooh.
Well, once again, a repetition of sloth. And lastly, the last one that is happening at 11:02 for this person, I purposefully got to class early so that I could take another student's usual seat, which was much better than mine. Envy. Well, working at home, I guess, with this whole, virtual learning, I haven't taken anyone's seat. I've been sitting in this chair all day. Yeah. Envy? No, maybe?
Yeah, it happens.
It happens.
Could be.
So obviously, I just wanted to, for the viewers that don't know the 7 deadly sins, we got sloth, greed, wrath, gluttony, lust, pride, and envy. It all actually spells peg lags when you do it as an acronym. Peg lags as 2 words. But, get weird with it, people. All right.
Maybe that's not a form of creation that you guys have been experimenting with, but it's open. Acrostics, right? Poetry.
Peg.
Well, maybe that was a new text for you guys, but you guys have been doing quite a bit of research into the 7 deadly sins. So maybe you want to tell us a little bit about some of the influences that you've let into your life now, and what have they taught you about sins? What's the new perspective gained through the research process in this?
Well, the first text we read was Dante's Inferno and Purgatory. Do you remember that?
Great. Yeah. Amazing.
And we actually got the name for our piece from there, which is The Dark Jungle.
Yeah. So
it's something. Yeah. Explain.
This the dark jungle as the path that leads us to our passions, which passions are seen as the sins. So it's very accurate, the dark jungle that he describes to us for our project and for the name of the audiovisual product.
Very cool. And what other types of been looking at lots of different types of art, right? Not only literary, but also painting and musical references and things like that. What are some of the other most important references that you found?
In baseball, we looked a lot at Bosch's The Garden of Earthly Delights and The Seven Deadly Sins and The Last Four Things, which depict and could give Salome a lot of ideas regarding movement and regarding elements that she could use in her surroundings. Actually,
Also, we
the
okay. So we also looked at um, drawings for the Seven Deadly Sins, where he exposes like the human version of the sin in a woman and the animal version of a sin. So it's like the representation of the sin in animals and in humans. So it's a great connection that he made there.
I'm curious, if you don't mind me asking, guys. I'm aware of like medieval art, which is pre-Renaissance art, right? And much of the pre-Renaissance art actually deals with the seven deadly sins, because, you know, another way, people back in medieval times, they didn't really read. They didn't know how to read. They mainly listened to people at the church who would tell them things. But the only form of reading that people did in medieval times, which is pre-Renaissance times, before 1300, was looking at pictures and images. And one of the ways of informing people about the seven deadly sins was through medieval art. Have you guys seen any medieval art in your research that showed any of the seven deadly sins, or did you focus on post-Renaissance periods?
No, well, actually, we didn't look at paintings, but we looked at the chants, at what the church tried to say when they sang about the seven deadly sins. They never sang explicitly about one committing a sin, but rather about a story from the Bible or from any other sacred text.
Okay. All right. Very interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, because there's a lot of medieval art, you know, which is 2D art. It didn't have the 3D interpretation that shows depictions of the sins in order to inform people. But it was always something that I remember seeing in museums and art museums when I was in London, that there was all these medieval references to the seven deadly sins. And by that contrast, did you guys ever also, who was it? Pope Gregory? Am I right in saying that?
Yes.
Pope Gregory introduced the seven deadly sins?
Yes.
Okay. And on the other side, Pope Gregory may have introduced the seven deadly sins, but he also, and I might be wrong in saying this, didn't he also introduce the seven virtues of life?
The seven heavenly virtues, yes.
Yes.
Okay. And
so,
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, so each sin has this, I don't know how to call it, this thing that is completely contrary to itself. So if you abide by the seven heavenly virtues, you'll get to heaven, and if you sin even once, you'll go to hell, right? Maybe it's gonna be like a little controversial, but I don't believe in moral. I believe in ethics rather, because moral is way too global, way too universal, and I don't think that anyone should be judged by something that maybe doesn't or does apply to you. I don't know.
You know, it's interesting because I think, you know, Pope Gregory, the man who introduced it, what was it, in the 6th century, I think, or 5th, I don't recall. He kind of introduced the concept of we need to know bad in order to know good, and we need to have good in order to know bad. Do you guys believe that the only way of knowing good is if there is bad, or the only way of knowing bad is if there is good? It's a bit of a paradox, don't you find?
It is a paradox, though. In order, I don't know, if you just recognize good without knowing what bad is, I don't know, it's just like, yeah, it's a difficult question, you know, but um, I sometimes don't believe it because sometimes what's good for you may be bad for other people. So I don't know. It's like I said, the universal concept of good or bad, of heaven and hell. Just I don't believe in them. I don't know Salome because that's another thing about a project. I got together with Salome because she's Catholic and an atheist. So I wanted to have that perspective into our project.
So for like the part of right and wrong in our project, we decided to like make the reader think outside the box, that there's no right, there's no wrong, there's just something that we want to show. So that's what we have like applied in our project of right and wrong.
And there's what's necessary, such as the seven deadly sins translated into the contemporary self.
The contemporary self. And can you explain the contemporary self? What does that, what is that exactly?
The contemporary self is someone who isn't ignorant in a way, is someone who's enlightened.
Okay.
Maybe yeah, that's what I think.
Because we are all so forced to be conscious of everything now, right? I mean, we have media that is constantly with us, whereas, you know, if you think about what David was saying in the medieval times, it was hard for people to know, you know, the simplest piece of information, and that information had to be put into forms that were easily digestible, like images and things like that. Whereas now we all know too much. I mean, I can't tell you how many different, even contradicting messages about COVID-19 that I get every single day. And it's just, which one do you even take as possibly true? And I guess maybe that's a little bit of what the contemporary self is, right?
Yes.
Okay.
That's what we think.
Enlightened even without your consent. You don't have a choice on whether or not.
Yeah, whether to be enlightened or not.
Have to be enlightened. Now, ladies, this project that you're doing is actually kind of revolutionary, especially for the school, because it's the first creative project that's ever really been done as a senior project, and specifically in this mode of what we call research creation, right? So maybe if you would just enlighten us a little bit about what is research creation to you, and how has the process gone, and what does that, do you feel, I mean, both as creative people before, but do you feel like this type of a process is productive in the creative aspect as well?
Well, I don't think it's necessary. You can just compose a song from what you know if you want to, but I believe it has broadened my approach into what a conceptual background needs to have before composing a piece. That's what I've always wanted my songs and my different pieces to have, for them to have a reason, for them to have like this conceptual background that people can get to understand, right? So to me, research creation is just having this concept where you want to, having this concept that you want to explore through music. That's
as for myself, I have not been like a lot into the creation, into like a creation process with dance, but this research creation for me has been like a very interesting way of knowing how my body can move, how I can connect movements, how I can express my feelings, and all based into a simple technique that we have. So it has been like a way to find a new face of me, like a new part of me.
It's been interesting.
You brought up a really good point actually there, Salome. You know, finding a new piece of me is the words that you used. And I always enjoyed in university doing research essays, because it was not exactly finding a new piece of me, but sometimes in a research essay, I found it as finding a new perspective, a new lens of looking at something. That was something that I always enjoyed and doing research. Like the article I pulled up, I got from JSTOR. And I love just, you know, finding a random topic on JSTOR and just being like, well, let's see a different perspective of looking at something. Yeah, that's something, I don't know, Ryan, maybe that multitude of perspectives in the research element, you always found interesting as well?
I love that. That's what I mean, every time that I try and do, well, my creative outlet is poetry, I guess. And so that's what I find is my creative method or process in poetry is trying to find a perspective. And I remember I came to that realization a long time ago when I was running. One day I was running and I was thinking as I ran by, what does that rock think of me as I run by? Like that's a you know, its way of, that rock's understanding of me is completely different from my understanding of the rock, right? Starting with the fact that, you know, if I'm lucky, I might live 80 years if I'm really lucky. And that rock is, you know, already millions and millions and millions of years old and has millions of years of experience, and therefore, you know, it's perspective. Even though a lot of people don't want to give rocks perspective, but that's pretty much what I like to do. I like to give rocks perspective.
Sure.
Okay.
You know, you can give perspective to whatever you want. Actually, we thought a lot about the concept of character when we were starting the creation process, and at first we came to the conclusion that we wanted to express this new phase of the scene as an abstract concept, but then we realized that it was almost impossible if there was a person dancing and if there was a storyline. So it's the final pieces kind of do have a character and kind of don't. So it's more about the story than the person.
That's cool. That's really cool. One thing actually, because, you know, you guys are showing us something that is dance and music, right? And I got to thinking just right now about music videos, right? Music videos, they kind of sometimes offer a singular perspective of interpreting a music. Like, you know, I mean, you look at music videos of the past in the 80s specifically, Madonna, Michael Jackson, Prince, those music videos right there, they offered a single and quite a singular perspective of how to look at the visual element of looking at this song, right?
Yes.
But in many ways, don't you think maybe we can, even though they are classics, like, you know, Michael Jackson's Criminal video, I think is like, it's eye-opening right there, right? But maybe we can put a modern touch of a modern perspective on, you know, the classics of the past. Me, I'm still a rock and roll kind of, you know, old school person with my music choice, but, you know, I think that there's a different way of looking at music. I don't need to, you know, turn on a music video and be like, oh yeah, this is the only interpretation of the music video, a man chasing a woman, or some kind of, you know, like criminal dance, like in Michael Jackson. Don't you think maybe we can have a modern take on music videos these days?
I mean, people could kind of start making them less explicit. I don't know, because that's what takes meaning and the possibilities of interpreting away explicitness. So I think that's one thing music video producers could work on. But otherwise, I don't know. I think music videos since MTV have been revolutionary.
Oh
So
yeah, no, definitely.
And since Salome, you're the one who's sort of responsible in a way for doing that work of interpretation of the music and putting it into this visual language. How do you approach that? I mean, what's the challenge there? Because as you said, David mentioned that oftentimes you get a very singular perspective, right? In fact, sometimes I even ask my students to share songs and to talk about the meanings of songs. And I find it funny that oftentimes they will say that the song is about this, and this was actually just something that they saw in the music video. And then you sometimes wonder, well, is there even a relationship sometimes? I mean, sometimes they're just, I don't know. I don't want to say random, but they're not necessarily one interpreting the other. Do you feel like you have to be that strict in interpreting Sarah's music and Sarah's voice, or can you also bring your own ideas to the table?
I mean, it's hard because let's see, for gluttony, that's the first thing we've been working on. Um, for gluttony, we've decided that we're going to represent it as ambition, like the modern way of saying gluttony, because in ambition, there's always going to be a part where you're going to be like very good, and sometimes we're going down. So the visual part for gluttony, it's actually like movements where it connects with the music. So when the music it's like really high, it's like the best part for ambition. And when the music is like low, it's like when you have how do I say it?
Like when you hit rock bottom or something.
Exactly, yeah. So there has to be a connection between the music, the like what the music is telling, to what I'm telling with my body. So there has to be always a connection.
So,
On
yeah.
the topic of connection, I don't know, I feel like nowadays people make a lot of connections that aren't supported by rational thinking, right? Sometimes people say like, oh, because it's a full moon today, people are going to be crazy. I don't know if you've heard that one before, but people are like, no, people go crazy on the full moon. It's something they say in England all the time, like, oh, it's a full moon tonight, there will be mayhem on the streets. It's like, where's the connection between full moon and crazy? I struggle to see that, right? But you make a good point. There must always be some kind of connection right there, right?
I don't know. I mean, that's where the word lunatic comes from, right? So
Yeah.
it could be more of a linguistic thing.
Yeah, it's just an example, but naturally, drawing connection between A and B is like a fundamental, and sometimes the connections that people will draw between A and B, they're not rationable, but we see that someone can see something in a way that we don't see it. And that's the process of research that is also interesting. It's other people making connections the way they see it, I think, right?
That might be where this idea of iconicity comes into the project as well. And I don't know.
Yes. Exactly.
All right.
Sorry. Maybe if you want to describe what the word iconicity means and how does that work into your project? Because I could see that as maybe, for instance, maybe there really is a deeper connection between mad behavior and the moon. And it's just over time and over the building of culture, we've kind of been able to cover that up, and it's not as apparent. But maybe it really is there. I mean, maybe there really is a connection between the moon and these crazy behaviors. I don't know. Maybe if you guys think you want to talk about iconicity.
We thought about iconicity as more of a maybe not an excuse to create, but like the simple is the most simplest basis of our project, where we take something and through a musical icon or through a dancistic icon or through a dancistic movement or any sound, it can give an image, an icon to the abstract thing we're trying to represent. So that's what iconicity was to us. For example, may I share my screen?
Go for it, please.
Okay. So this is the Guitar Pro document, the sheet music for Gluttony, right? Which is Ambition or Gloria, which we're trying to call it in the, we're gonna use Latin names. So for example, when you think about Gluttony, what do you think about? Like a heavy sound, like I don't know, a fat person. It's just how it is. So that's why I started here with some low notes, some low content. Yeah.
Augustus Gloop, yeah? The soundtrack from him in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. That's the first thing I think of.
Yes, that's
exactly
how it starts.
So here we wanted to like give a sense of what Gluttony was to us, right? And then it starts with the simple intro, right? And here is where the canon starts, because to us, ambition is just a thing you gotta work on, right? Like, ambition consists of trying and trying and trying again, right? So here the first melody starts, and then it gets joined. It's the exact same melody, but joined by another harmonic elements, right? And then the same two melodies joined by another one, right? And this is where the lyrics start. And I tried to tie it to the moment of the song, because here is where the music just gets into this Lydian mode, very, very dark scenery, right? So, oh no, I'm just falling, right? And then it's just the exact same melody as always, but with a darker, richer harmony, right? So it's just about trying and just getting to it, right?
Oh,
That's
like
the first.
This project is awesome that you guys are doing. Actually, you know, I didn't know that there was a song sheet that you guys were creating as well. That's beautiful.
Yes. That's what we were trying to do, and I don't know how to stop sharing the screen, so you're gonna have to bear. Okay, found it.
I'll stop it for you. It's all good. There you go.
Thank you. Okay, so yeah, that was the musical part. Yeah, Salome, if Salome would like to describe what the
for the dancistic part, it has been difficult, the creative process, due to what we're living right now, quarantine and everything. But I have like a new way of proposing drafts. It's like a voice draft. So I basically I play the music and I start talking as how is the movement, how my body's moving, and I've been doing that. So it's hard because of the space in my house and we can go out. So it's kind of hard to create and not have all the tools you need.
But could always be worse, right?
Yeah, of course.
We're making the best out of the situation. That we
Yes.
Yeah, we've tried. So that's basically our project, and I don't know, do you have any questions or anything?
I think I just wanted to throw in there. I've had the fortune of accompanying the process of reading the research part as they go along, constructing, of trying to also help them with some ideas. And what I can say is that so far the product is really cool. The text is very pleasurable to read. It's a really enjoyable and interesting text. They do a really cool job of creating a dialogue between the two. And that's what I'm most excited about, because again, this is our first research creation project in the senior project, and I'm really proud, and I'm going to be really excited when other people have the opportunity to read the text and join in the conversation, and I think everybody's going to enjoy it a lot, and also of course then the music and dance, the video dance project we're really excited about and looking forward to seeing it in June. And I don't know if we're not able to see it
someday
live
Yes.
all together in one place, then I don't know, we'll have to host like a cool Zoom party to watch it all together, something like that.
Of course.
Zoom party, hell yeah. Yeah, sure.
Hey, Sarah, Salome, like I'm really happy you guys shared your project, because I heard about, you know, some seniors doing a dance and a singing kind of like duo right there, and I was curious what it was, but you know, thank you for sharing it, because I think the fact that you guys are doing research and creation simultaneously is a fantastic element to throw in your senior project. It's really cool what you guys have done, and I congratulate you. Thank you very much.
Honestly, we just thought about something that we'd enjoy doing, because I can't imagine just doing some collaborative work where I have to interview a lot of people. I'm just you know, I can't.
If you do what you enjoy doing in life, you'll never have to work a day in your life, as the old phrase goes. So you guys, you haven't had to work a day in your life because you're doing what you enjoy. So
Yeah.
That's the goal. That's the goal. Okay.
Well, guys, that was pretty rad, I must say. And
It was, right?
Yeah.
Pretty rad.
I'm Ryan,
and I'm David.
and that makes us
Rad.
Thank you for having us.
Thank
guys.
you.
Have a great Wednesday. Take care.
We'll see you all later.